Hey, Remy. Should we do another Sunday serving? Hey, welcome back to the Sunday Serving channel. I think it might be one of the best places you can come every week for a word of hope and inspiration from the gospel. So subscribe to this channel. But the main thing is the gospel. And what a lovely August day here. It's warm. Cicadas are singing. The grass is a little dry, which reminds us that we need to think about water. What is water? What is the water of life? Jesus talks about that, the living water. We did last time. We talked about some of Jesus' miracles on the lake, calming the storm. But I was thinking recently, because a good friend of mine, young man, just was diagnosed with cancer, just got married, facing that, is in pretty tough shape. The doctors are trying their best to help him, but Jesus, one of his main ministries was healing, and that's what brought the people flocking from all over the countryside was Jesus' ministry of healing. So let's read some of those stories of healing that happened right. It says Matthew chapter 8, right after the Sermon on the Mount. There's two wonderful stories of healing that we can learn from and be encouraged from and wonder, what does that mean today? So it says here, when Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him, and a man with leprosy came and knelt before him. Imagine that. So this man with leprosy was a skin disease. It still is, but I think the term leprosy in those days covered a multitude of skin diseases. But whatever it was a very bad thing to have. You were an outcast. You couldn't live with your family. You couldn't live in the village. You couldn't associate with other people. You were unclean. So this man with leprosy knelt before Jesus. That would have caused terror for many people, to have a leper come and kneel before you, and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." That's an amazing statement of faith. Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. He had the faith, this leper, that Jesus could heal him, could make him clean, but also realized that Jesus needed to be willing to do this. So Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. So right there, that touch. Jesus reached out his hand and touched. He was willing to go against the norms, to touch someone that's untouchable, to show love with a physical touch. So he touched this man who was sick, and he said, "I am willing. Be clean." I love those are two powerful sentences. I am willing. Be clean. So showing Jesus is willing to do anything. He's willing to touch the untouchable. He's willing to give his love. He's willing to heal, to ask God to heal. And then that second one, a command, be clean. Simple command. And goes on, immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. So immediately, there was no process of medications or bathing or, there's a story in the Old Testament of a man that was healed of leprosy by Elisha with repeated bathing. I think 7 times or 8 times in the Jordan River. And he had to have that faith to do that, to take action. But Jesus said immediately this man was cleansed of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anybody, but go and show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded as testimony to them." So there was this part of the law of Moses, that was given to help the health of the Israelite people, and one of them was involving healing, and there was a ritual of cleansing, and Jesus told this man to go and do that. So that's part of convention, right? He said, "Go do that. You're clean now, but go show it. Go through the process of certifying that you're clean, so that this man could live a normal life again." But that's a wonderful story. It shows the power of God, the power of Jesus. It teaches us so much about faith, about the love of Jesus, about being willing. If we want to be like Jesus, to be willing to reach out and touch, to love the unlovable. And the next story that follows right after this, I also love. It's a sort of a separate lesson of faith, and it's about the centurion. It says, when Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed and suffering terribly. So, centurion, a Roman soldier, more than that, an officer of the Roman army, an occupying army, probably not very well loved by the people in Israel because they were lording over them. They were exacting taxes, who knows what else they were doing, maybe taking men as slaves, and who knows what they were doing, but not very popular. But this man, this officer, this soldier, knew what was happening. He saw what was happening with Jesus and the crowds and the healings, and he didn't come for himself. He came for a servant that was suffering, and said, Lord, my servant lies at home, paralyzed, suffering terribly. He didn't even ask him at this point. And Jesus said to him, should I come and heal him? So Jesus asks the centurion, should I come to your house, to your barracks, and heal him? I mean, what an offer. Isn't that amazing? But listen to this. The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. So this recognition, a man in authority who said to this prophet, to this Jesus, to this Lord, to this Messiah, who many people didn't recognize as such, I'm not worthy. You don't come to my house. He went on, I'm not worthy, don't come to my house. But just say the word, and my servant will be healed. Wow. He goes on, for I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes. And that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such a great faith. So Jesus was amazed by this faith of this man who said, you don't need to come and heal my servant. You can just say the word because I know how it works. You can say the word and it'll happen. I believe in the power that you have to heal. It comes from God, and I know that you can do this. And Jesus used that moment to teach his disciples, to teach all those following him about faith, about this absolute faith that isn't stopped by anything. Nothing in the world can block the action of God when there's faith, like this man had. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So why did Jesus say that? Well, sometimes God chooses to work where we don't expect it. And let's not be hypocritical. Let's not think we have it made. We are part of the chosen. We are saved. When there's true faith in someone that might not appear that way to us, Jesus is saying those people will be invited to the wedding feast, to the kingdom. And those that think they are, if they're proud and if they are self-sufficient, if they don't recognize their need of God, of Jesus, they won't be invited. They'll be thrown outside. That's quite a word of warning to us, not just to the Pharisees or the Jewish people of that time. I think that's an important part of this lesson here. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go, let it be done just as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that moment. So I think that's an important part of it too. They must have gone home, the centurion, to his home or his compound or his palace or wherever he lived, and he found his servant healed. And maybe he asked the servant or those attending him, what time was he healed? And tracked it back, and it was exactly the time that he was speaking to Jesus. The gospel makes a point of that he was healed at that moment. So what an amazing power of Jesus to reach out and touch, to heal, to change everything. All it takes is faith and asking Jesus if he's willing, and us being willing to be humble, to believe. So take faith, take hope in healing, and have a wonderful and blessed week. Remy herself could use a bit of healing from her arthritis. So let's go, let's see what we can find in the woods, Remy.